Hi there, my name's Cliff Richard, and any second now you will be seeing the second part of my TV series here in Holland, and this one is going to be called Why Should the Devil Have All the Good Music? And I just thought it would be really good to let you know, if you didn't know already, exactly what modern rock and roll Christians are doing, because this is basically what this show is about. Have a nice evening. He packs the houses out every night, and there's no one else that could say, I'm going to do a gospel tour, I'm going to sing gospel songs, and I'm going to preach Christianity from the stage and talk about my beliefs from the stage, and still pack the place out with young kids every night, which he does. I mean, it's incredible.
They say that how you live shows on your face. He hasn't aged in a long time, so he must be doing something right.
Sometimes people don't understand what you're good for doing in a rock and roll band. Ain't nothing wrong with playing a blues lick.
Is a nice, acceptable, good, clean living lad. I don't know any rock and roll singer that I've met would want to admit to that.
Because Jesus is the rock and he rocks my blues away. Rolling away.
He's extremely successful, very pleasant, and I hate his guts. It's all a load of cobblers, Cliff. I don't mean a word of it. I think you're lovely.
I'm not knocking the hymns.
First, being a Christian made me kind of curious about a lot of things, and I used to ask him a lot of questions about Christianity. It didn't really get me back to being an active one, but he used to explain a lot of things to me. He used to discuss it a lot, but only when I asked him.
Here he is, a man who's obviously very devoutly religious, but he's not pushing it on the public. He's saying to them in a way, if you want to follow my beliefs, please do. If not, I'm not going to ram it down your throat.
Jesus told the truth, Jesus showed the way. One more thing I'd like to say. Led him to a cross and they laid him in the ground. Should have known you can't keep a good man down.
He goes against all the sort of unwritten laws of being a rock singer. He's religious, he's clean cut, he's a nice lad, he looks healthy. All these things are not things that normally go to make up a successful rock singer. And Cliff's broken all the rules, and he's bigger than anybody. It's amazing.
Jesus is a rock star, you roll.
Presenting a concert in a series of gospel concerts for Tear Fund. We do each year about a month of concerts which together raise something like £50,000–60,000 for that organisation. Tonight we're raising money for a project in India, a self-help project. I'm always glad to be involved. And I think they do four things. They raise money for needy parts of the world. They help people to enjoy themselves. People have a great evening. They promote the organisation Tear Fund that both Cliff and I are interested in, and they convey something of the vitality of the Christian faith. And to be able to combine all those threads seems to me to make a very worthwhile evening.
You know, there's a great deal of flowers around. Thank you, thank you. Okay, thanks ever so much. Okay, could you leave it there for me? Thank you ever so much. I'll collect it. I promise you no one else will get it but me. Go on, just leave it there. And I'll collect it later, okay? Is that all right? If there's any more of you, just please leave it here. Okay. So, I'm going to start again. Because we're doing this for television as well, you see, and it's going to look really silly. All they've got is a shot of my bottom.
And he never says naughty words. He never says anything that could veer into unpleasantness. And yet, he's not boring either. That's quite a feat. I don't know what he's on, but it's working.
This is actually a fun little song that we've done on television before. It's about how all of us
have to travel down life's rather bumpy little road, but how some of us think that we can do whatever we like and still get to where we want to go. And this song suggests that maybe that's not true.
I live round the corner, literally, and I remember being phoned one night and asked if I'd come round and have an argument, which we did.
Oh, you can't get to heaven by living like hell. You'll never see Jesus when you ring that golden bell. You'll never walk that glory road or get to know God well. No, you can't get to heaven by living like hell.
When you haven't got success, you think, if I could get success, I'd be happy. Well, he'd had the professional equivalent of winning the football pools, but he wasn't really contented. And there were lots of areas in his life where he wasn't satisfied, where it didn't seem to bring him satisfaction.
You can't get to heaven by living like hell. No, can't get to heaven by living like hell. You'll never see Jesus when you ring that golden bell.
I remember one evening we spent at the Cliffs when he seemed very near. You know, the questions were running out, and not only that, you get the sort of feeling that he's really now on your side. He actually wanted to be persuaded. And as I recall, it was left with him, you know, at the end, well, we can't go any further. We've told you everything that we can, and we shared everything with you can. It really is up to you now. And from what Cliff told me a few days later, he went to bed that night and thought about it, and made his own response, very privately, which was exactly what I would have expected him to do. He's that sort of a person.
You'll never walk that glory road or get to know God well. No, you can't get to heaven by living like hell.
And if conversion is actually a process, and the process had begun years before, and the point at which he finally came to the intellectual acceptance of the fact that Jesus is the divine Son of God, well, I may think, well, that was his moment of conversion. God may have a quite different view of it, you know.
Oh, can't get to heaven by living like hell. You'll never see.
And his scale of values changed. I don't recollect Cliff before that talking much, for example, about the problems of the world. In other words, you know, as one would expect, conscience became lit up on a lot of subjects.
No, you can't. Oh, you can't get to heaven on your own.
Nowadays, it's very hard in the changing society and the way people live. People find it very hard to believe that someone can be as devout and believe in something that much. And it's a strength of a kind.
I knew that he was speaking the truth by the leatherback book in hand. Hey, hey, what a day.
I can see why people might think it's a very goody-goody image, especially with the religious bit and with, I don't know, I would actually go as far as to get very aggressive with people, personally, if I thought they were going to have a scathing attack at Cliff. He's not goody-goody, he just happens to lead a life which fulfills his ambition, which he feels happy at. He enjoys his music, he enjoys his communication with people, and he lives a lovely life. I know that's completely odd. That's the beautiful thing about Cliff. It's completely odd in our society that this man, who has never got a stain on his jacket, who now looks younger than he did 20 years ago, could possibly be surviving in a business which, by definition, people have to fall off stage and rip clothes and swear. And therefore, you know, who is this person? Who is this paragon of virtue? We've got to knock him down. But by God, they haven't done it yet.
Hey, hey. What a day.
Well, it's easy to be bad, so I suppose if the opposite is always true, yeah, I should think it is tough. Yeah, it's tough life being good.
Got myself some wisdom from a leatherback book. Got myself a savior.
But
Cliff's always the one that's had the finger pointed and said, yeah, you, the Christian, right? And he's always had that for about, well, since, you know, mid-60s. And he's always taken the knocks. And no one else has. No one's pointed at anyone else and said, yeah, you, George Harrison, what's all this about your beliefs? But he's actually won through in the end. He's won through, and they don't knock him anymore. He's actually won.
And I always think that as Christians, if we can just create the old question mark, you know, is Jesus who he says he is, then you've already started at what could lead to something quite stupendous for people. So I know it does work and can work. I'm always just a little bit disappointed that more people aren't free enough to say, what have you got to say?
Don't know how I ever got this far alone, but I don't know I can't go any longer on my own. If you step into my life and then carry me away, then I know that life is gonna start right back today. Oh, take me where I wanna go. Oh, tell me what I wanna know. Oh, let me taste the new beginning. Ooh, is it true? I can't do anything without you. Oh, take me where I wanna go. Oh, take me where I wanna go. Oh, won't you tell me what I wanna know? Won't you tell me what I wanna know? Oh, let me taste the new beginning. Oh, let me taste the new beginning. Ooh, is it true? I can't do anything without you. Take me where I wanna go. Tell me what I wanna know.
At any given point of time, I think it's very, very probable that you would find Cliff involved in one of three activities. He'd either be doing something show busy, he would either be at home doing something which any normal sort of family would be involved in, or thirdly, he would be involved in some specifically Christian event, like at church or at a students' meeting or whatever. To go into a university student sort of free-for-all, question and answer on the Christian faith, is really setting yourself up as some kind of authority, and yet Cliff has no hesitation in saying, I don't know.
So I really don't know how to answer your question. I really don't. I'm not very politically minded either, as you probably gathered from my answer.
But what he will do is to go back afterwards and make sure he has an answer next time.
Yeah, what do you see a Christian religion having as opposed to the other religions, perhaps from the East and this sort of thing?
The thing that attracted me to Christianity was that at its center was a man who claimed, first of all, to be divine, and who then did the impossible. He did the absolute impossible, and that was to die and come back to life. And it's this resurrection business.
On a more personal level, where do you go from here? St. Cliff?
You're giving me a choice?
What's your attitude towards D&D as a Christian?
Well, I'm going to give you a personal answer. I tend to be pacifist by my emotions.
Somebody told me don't brainwash the child. I've got to admit that I stole a quick smile because no one in
Nazi thing was obviously a very evil thing.
You've got to teach them something, show them some way to be, cause we're under the influence. Under the influence, you could try to deny it. Call it a lie, but we're under the influence. Under the influence. Under the influence of somebody all of the time. Now Ayatollah Khamenei and I told you that. But if you follow heroes, they're gonna leave you flat. Muhammad Ali has only feet of clay, 'cause we're under the influence, under the influence. If we try to deny it, call it a lie, but we're under the influence, under the influence, under the influence of somebody all of the time. You can choose who leads you forward, you can choose who holds you back, you can choose to follow feelings, you can choose to follow fact, you can choose the open highway or choose the narrow track. You can sing I did it my way, you can say I'm alright, Jack. 'Cause we're under the influence, under the influence. So try to deny it, call it a lie, but we're under the influence, under the influence, under the influence of somebody all of the time. Now Karl Marx and Harpo were singing in the dark. Freud tried to harmonize them, was wide off the mark. Voices swell the chorus, set we're here by chance. A 20th century symphony, a nightmare of a day. Under the influence, we're under the influence. If you try to deny it, call it a lie, but we're under the influence, under the influence, under the influence of somebody all of the time. Yes, we are under the influence of somebody all of the time.
Oh, you see, the church doesn't like rock and roll still. They still think it's evil. I don't agree with them. I'm sorry to say that they're wrong. I don't think I'm right. I just think they happen to be wrong.
Larry Norman still heads my list of really great writers. I mean, if I was to sort of categorize him, I'd put him and say, I'd say he was the kind of Paul Simon of Christianity. Got a great way with lyrics, hard-hitting.
I thought if I wrote the songs well enough, they might disturb the Christian community into thinking of God in terms outside the building, like God belongs in the world, not in the church. He's not, you know, frozen in stained glass. He's living.
He does a song that's called Why Don't You Look Into Jesus? And it starts off with things like, gonorrhea on Valentine's Day, BD. You're still looking for the perfect lay. Why don't you look to Jesus? He doesn't say, oh, that's happening. Oh, man, what a drag. He then actually puts the statement and says, look, there's all this thing going on in life, and we know it. We know it full well, and this is what you should be looking at.
Well, in the Bible, it talks about a lot of things. Some of them seem to be mysteries, and people don't understand. So I think sometimes music is a good way of expressing what you believe or what you feel. Life was filled with guns and war, and everyone got trampled on the floor. I wish we'd all been ready. Children died and the days grew cold. A piece of bread could buy a bag of gold. I wish we'd all been ready. But there's no time to change your mind. The sun has come and you've been left behind. A man and wife asleep in bed. She hears a noise, she turns her head. He's gone. I wish we'd all been ready. Two men walk in the hill. One disappears and one's left standing still. I wish we'd all been ready. But there's no time to change your mind. The sun has come and you've been left behind. has come and you've been left behind.
I hope we'll all be ready when Jesus comes back to earth. I hope we'll all be ready if they drop the bomb. I hope we'll all be ready if we die when we're crossing the street.
Not being a writer myself, when I first started singing at Christian functions, I found it very hard. I mean, my repertoire was almost nil. I hadn't played guitar for years because Hank had done all that before that. Whenever I went on the road with bands, they were so good, I thought, well, what's the point of me playing guitar? They're so brilliant. So I stopped. And my repertoire was really small.
I really credit Cliff with introducing the whole idea of Jesus songs to the pop market.
When I got the chance to sing songs that were not irreverent, you know, they were songs that you could feel worshipful with. They were songs that you could feel, I'm telling them a message here, in a way that they'll enjoy hearing it.
And Cliff has been able to very ingeniously just show that that Christian songs can be good musically, enjoyed as songs, and be about something that's true and real, and reflect his faith and who he is.
Like Lost in a Lonely World. I mean, it's a real funky rock and roll song. And what it's saying is that you don't have to be lost in a lonely world. There's a relationship that could change all that.
Tomorrow never comes and you are looking forward to it. You try so hard to live the day your way. But what a life if you could live the way you want it. You tried once before, but it didn't work out. You know you need someone to bring out of that. Sing it to me. To be a light to you is what I intend to do. Show the way you know you ought to go. You want to go. See a world that will surely come into view. So take the hand that I'm offering to you. To see the truth that you will be no longer lost in a lonely world. Lost in a lonely world. I can see life in your eyes. Only realize it now. Don't have to settle for things. No, don't have to settle for things. You don't have to say there's nowhere to go. You can find out anything you really want to know. So don't get lost. Lost in a lonely world. Don't get muddy. Lost in a lonely world. I can see that there's life in your eyes. If only you realize it. Don't get lost. No, lost in a lonely world. No need to get lost in a lonely world. You don't have to say there's nowhere to go. You can find out anything you really want to know.
To me, rock and roll is, first of all, the black music from 200 years ago. I mean, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot is, you know, swing low, sweet chariot. It has a backbeat. It's exactly everything rock and roll is, you know. Boom, 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 boom.
It's always been rhythmic. In fact, all of rock and roll, I think, comes out of black gospel music. The Beatles have said so, and the Stones, and so, actually, current contemporary gospel and rock gospel is a real fusion of white innovation with black soul.
You find that God is a God of variety, and I mean, how many white churches have I gone in, and I wish that my father's choir was in there, you know, singing. I said, these people need to be jumping down the aisles. They need to be on fire. Because, I mean, we don't serve a dead God, but we serve a God that is alive and well, as somebody says. And, I mean, you might go somewhere and they go, be still my soul. I go, sit down, you know. It's like, it bugs you, you know. It's like, are they afraid of God? But the danger can be in these types of services when you have a lot of visitors that might be hungry for God, and a lot of people that might just be merely inquisitive about who God is. And that one particular time when you got them in that service, or that friend brought them to that service, might be one of these high energy times when he absolutely does not know what's going on.
I've never been to a black gospel church before ever in my life, and I've seen film about black music. And, you know, I've been to an Andraé Crouch concert. I found that very exciting, but to be in the actual church atmosphere and have all that going, I've never seen anything quite so free and wild in my life, actually. When we first got there, I'd been told that I wasn't expected to do anything, just to sit and participate as somebody worshipping. So I was happy to do that, naturally. But halfway through the service, you see, I suddenly thought, well, I'd like to be part of this. And there's no way for me to be part of it other than, you know, clapping your hands or participating out front. And when he said, Brother Cliff's going to come and do something, I thought, right. And I was quite happy to do it, actually.
Listen, you have to turn the mics up, because from England, we haven't got voices as big as yours. But we have the same faith where we come from, and as far as I'm concerned, it's really been a treat to be with you, because it's very rare that we get a chance to praise him! Wow!
I learned afterwards that theirs is very much, I mean, the pianist is playing what's right for them, and to ask for the key of E, he certainly didn't give me the key of E, I'm sure it was something else. Z or Yale.
I'm not knocking the heads. No, no. Just like the song that's gotta be. Yeah, yeah. I'm not knocking the heads. No, no. Oh, but I do like a song that gets me on my feet.
And the thing that ties all this music together is when the people know Christ to be their shepherd. Whether, regardless of whether it's rock and roll style musically or soul, and when it's real, it communicates.
One thing, people, I want you to know that Jesus got a loving soul. Gotta dance. I gotta dance. I gotta dance. Yeah, yeah.
I can see where our roots come from. You know, when you go to a gospel thing like that and you see these people singing, and it's interesting that the girls that get up and sing, they all sound like, you know, they're all Aretha Franklins, aren't they? They're all fantastic singers. And you can see, I mean, that drummer was keeping that rhythm going for 2.5 hours. You can see where the grassroots of rock and roll is. But for me, my personal preference in music tends to be, I guess, white rock and roll.
Rearrange
I am not schizophrenic. I am a Christian rock and roll singer. But for the sake of the public, I'd rather they know what they were going to get. So that if they come to a gospel concert, there can be no grumbles, and in fact, so far, they've always liked it. Quite a lot of people, I feel, hold back anyway from even trying to come and see something like that because they have their own bias. It's Christian, you know. Whereas in point of fact, we are trying to do a lot of things which is entertain people. I don't want to go on stage and come across as a non-entertainer. I mean, that would be disastrous for the whole exercise, I think. I mean, if you don't entertain people, you can't communicate.